Hey guys, in House of the Dragon, Vhagar is by far the oldest and largest of the dragons. Vhagar is a she-dragon of House Targaryen named after the Valyrian god of war. During the Dance of the Dragons, House Targaryen has more dragons than they've ever had in their history. There's 17 dragons flying around, and we'll see them all by the time House of the Dragon ends. But unfortunately, most of dragon lives will end with it, since House Targaryen is divided and in civil war. At about 180 years old, Vhagar is the oldest dragon currently alive, and thus the biggest. She's ridden by Aemond Targaryen, and she's the last dragon alive from Aegon's conquest. Vhagar is bronze with greenish-blue highlights and green eyes. Called the Queen of all Dragons, Vhagar is the dragon who was first ridden by Visenya Targaryen during Aegon's conquest, alongside Aegon the Conqueror's Balerion, and their sister Rhaenys Meraxes. Vhagar hatched from a dragon Aegon Dragonstone during the Century of Blood, 52 years before the Targaryens started their conquest of Westeros. Visenya first rode Vhagar, demonstrating she was a dragon rider sometime before she married her brother Aegon. After Aegon landed on Westeros and began his conquest, Visenya flew Vhagar to a few houses in the Crownlands to make them bend the knee. Following Aegon's coronation, Visenya upon Vhagar accompanied the Targaryen fleet, commanded by Daemon Velaryon, to take Gulltown. In the battle in the waters of Gulltown, the Arryn fleet defeated the Targaryen fleet, sinking one-third of the ships and capturing nearly as many. To avoid a complete loss, Visenya and Vhagar descended upon them and burned the ships of the Arryn fleet. Visenya then flew to Cracklow Point with Vhagar to accept many pledges of fealty from the local lords. Vhagar next flew her to her siblings Aegon and Rhaenys, where they joined their dragons and with the Targaryen army advanced south. Vhagar, alongside Balerion and Meraxes, took part in the Field of Fire, the only battle in which all three of the Targaryen dragons took to the sky at the same time during Aegon's conquest. Together, Vhagar, Meraxes, and Balerion killed 4,000 men, Gardeners and Lannisters, burning them alive. Among the burned was King Mern the 9th Gardener, and with him House Gardener went extinct. The army was broken, King Lannister bent the knee and became Lord Lannister, and House Targaryen was victorious. Visenya next flew Vhagar to the Trident in the Riverlands, where she met with her brother and sister and their dragons to face King in the North, Thoren Stark, who was marching south with great northern army to face the Targaryen threat. King Stark was thinking all night what to do. Some in his camp suggested to fight and die for the north. His bastard brother Brandon Snow offered to sneak into the Targaryen camp at night to slay Vhagar and other Targaryen dragons, but the northern king refused the attempt, and instead bent the knee to the Targaryens, saving the north and his men from Targaryen fire. Afterwards, Vhagar took Visenya back to the Vale to conquer it, where she landed with her dragon in the inner courtyard of the Arryn seat Eyrie. When Dowager Queen of the Vale, Shara Arryn, reached the courtyard, she found her young son, King Ronald Arryn, sitting on Visenya's knee, with Vhagar standing right next to them. The young king begged his mother for a ride on Vhagar's back. Shara bent her knee and surrendered the crown to Visenya, and Ronald rode on Vhagar 3 times. Although during this time Vhagar was the smallest of the trio that included Aegon the Conqueror's Balerion the Black Dread and Rhaenys Meraxes, Vhagar was still large enough to swallow a horse whole, and her breath was so hot that it could melt a knight's armor and cook him inside. 100 years later, during the reign of King Viserys I Targaryen, Vhagar is the largest of all living dragons. But back to Vhagar's time with Visenya. Following deaths of Rhaenys and Meraxes in Dorne, Visenya and Aegon on top of Vhagar and Balerion burned every Dornish stronghold at least once except Sunspear, during a 2-year period known as Dragon's Wrath. When Aegon the Conqueror died in 37 AC, Vhagar was the one whose flames were used to light the fire of his funeral pyre. When King Aenys arrived at Dragonstone fleeing King's Landing from the rebels in the Faith Militant Uprising, Visenya asked him to grant her leave to take Vhagar and burn the seat of the Faith in Old Town, but Aenys refused. When King Aenys died, Visenya with Vhagar left Dragonstone immediately and flew to Pentos, where her son Maegor the Cruel lived in exile. After Maegor had claimed the crown on Dragonstone, Visenya accompanied him and Balerion upon Vhagar and crossed Blackwater Bay to King's Landing, when the Fate Militant continued to resist Maegor's reign. Visenya mounted Vhagar and burned the seats of 5 houses in the Riverlands within a single night. Vhagar and Balerion next flew to Old Town to burn the Fate seat, but Lord Martin Hightower opened his gates before Balerion and Vhagar and saved the city from Dragonflame. Visenya died on Dragonstone in 44 AC, leaving Vhagar without a rider. Vhagar remained unridden for 29 years until Prince Balon the Brave claimed Vhagar. Balon's brother claimed Caraxes, so Vhagar and Caraxes spent much time flying together. Vhagar, along with Caraxes and Vermithor, burned the Dornish fleet that attempted to invade the Stormlands during the 4th Dornish War in 83 AC. After the death of Balerion of old age in 94 AC, Vhagar became the last of the 3 Targaryen dragons who had fought in the conquest. Vhagar became riderless again when Prince Balon passed away in 101 AC. Vhagar's next rider was Lady Laena Velaryon. When Laena wed Prince Daemon Targaryen, they flew upon their dragons across the narrow sea. Vhagar and Caraxes, Daemon's dragon, once again spent much time flying together. Vhagar ended Laena's suffering on Laena's orders and burned her alive. Following Laena's funeral on Driftmark, the 10-year-old Prince Aemond Targaryen claimed Vhagar as his own dragon. By this time, Vhagar is the hardened survivor of 100 battles, and has grown nearly as big as Balerion the Black Dread had been during Aegon's conquest, and had become the largest living dragon over time. For comparison, Caraxes is about half the size of Vhagar. Her roar is so powerful that it can shake the very foundations of Storm's End. No living dragon can match her for size or ferocity. In the Season 1 finale, Vhagar, being about 5 times larger than the younger dragon Eryx, easily rips him apart with a single bite, sending his and Lucerys' corpses to the sea below, ending the War of Ravens and starting the War of Fire and Blood between Queen Rhaenyra and King Aegon. During the Targaryen Civil War in Season 2 as well as throughout the entire House of the Dragon series, Aemond's Vhagar is the best weapon Greens have against the Blacks of Queen Rhaenyra. Now we're going to talk about Vhagar's fate in Season 2 of House of the Dragon as well as the later seasons, and ultimately her death, so spoiler alert. Aemond will fly Vhagar in battle throughout Season 2, with the most significant one being in Episode 4 of the upcoming season when Vhagar will fight Meleys. During the battle at Rook's Rest, Vhagar and Aemond, and King Aegon and Sunfire will ambush the dragon Meleys, and her rider Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen who never was. Meleys is an old and large dragon, quicker than Vhagar, and might have stood a chance against Vhagar alone, but will die from combined assault. Vhagar and Aemond will be the only one who leave the battle reasonably unharmed, with Meleys and Rhaenys dead, Sunfire and Aegon severely wounded and barely alive. The battle against Meleys will have Aegon II so injured that he is incapable of ruling, and Prince Aemond will be appointed regent. In later episodes of Season 2, Aemond will decide that the main threat in the war is Prince Daemon Targaryen, who is gathering armies at Harrenhal. In the end of Season 2, Aemond will take Vhagar and most of the Green forces from King's Landing north to attack Harrenhal, leaving King's Landing with very little defense. When Aemond and Vhagar arrive at Harrenhal, they will find the castle undefended and empty, as Daemon had left some time before to attack King's Landing, after having lured Aemond and Vhagar away from the capital. Without the Green's army and without the largest dragon Vhagar to defend King's Landing, the city falls to Rhaenyra and Daemon. In Season 3, Aemond will take Vhagar on a one-man war of revenge. Vhagar will burn much of the Riverlands. Vhagar will cause more destruction than an entire army, and severely harm Rhaenyra's supporters in the Riverlands. Aemond and Vhagar will not stop the destruction of the Riverlands, and they will become known as the Terror of the Trident. Daemon Targaryen on his dragon Caraxes and the dragon seed Nettles on the dragon Sheepstealer will be on the hunt for Vhagar and Aemond. Daemon and Nettles will unsuccessfully search together for Vhagar, who continues to terrorize the Riverlands. Eventually, seeing that Aemond will not bring Vhagar to a 3-dragon fight, Daemon will send a word out that he and Caraxes are waiting for Aemond and Vhagar at Harrenhal alone. On the 14th day, Vhagar will appear in the sky, carrying Aemond and his lover Alice Rivers. Aemond will leave Alice in the castle's yard, and after exchanging a few words with his uncle Daemon, both dragons and their riders will launch into the air. All four are killed in the ensuing battle above the God's Eye. Vhagar and Xerxes will lock together. Xerxes' jaws will close around Vhagar's neck, and Daemon will jump from his dragon to Vhagar to put Dark Sister through Aemond's remaining eye, just before the dragons crash into the lake. Daemon's body was never found. Some years after the end of the dance, Vhagar's body was recovered, with Aemond's armored bones still chained to the saddle, and the Dark Sister through his skull. Vhagar was 181 years old when she died, along with 18 other Targaryen dragon skulls. Vhagar's skull hung on the wall in the Red Keep's throne room, until King Robert I Baratheon overthrew Targaryens, and had the skulls removed from the throne room. That's the complete story of Vhagar, the queen of all dragons, legendary Targaryen dragon who participated in Aegon's conquest, grew almost as large as the biggest Targaryen dragon of all time, and is the key player of the Greens in the Targaryen Civil War. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next one.